Thank you for attending and taking time out of your busy schedules. My name is Terry Huber. I am the marketing manager for network cameras and edge analytic products. Everyone, just to give you a heads up, you're on auto mute at this time. If you do have a question during the presentation, please enter your question in the dialog box and we will address each question at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Drew Bretches. He is our Senior Product Manager for Network Cameras and Edge Analytics. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, everybody. So today we're talking about our new PTZ cameras, the BRC X400, SRG X400, and SRG X120. These were all announced. The BRC X400 was announced last April at NEB, and then this past June at Infocom, we announced the two new SRG models. The big news about these are Sony's first IP 4K PTZ cameras that utilize the new tech NDI HX capability. And they also deliver outstanding picture quality with our Exmor R CMOS sensor. We're running a sales promotion right now. Now, if a customer buys one of the new models before November 15th, they can have additional savings anywhere from $250 to $600 depending on the model. This applies to all of the new models, the BRC X400, SRG X400, SRG X120. Also, the new models come with a 2-year parts and labor warranty. So for the BRC X400, we've got a number of suitable applications ranging from house of worship, event halls, broadcast studios, live sporting events, and obviously like auditoriums and live shows and exhibitions. The SRG line would be more for the small to mid-sized church, certainly like government activities like town halls or city council meetings. The X120 is ideal for video conferencing rooms. We also support medical applications like telemedicine, and then in education, clearly these are great for lecture capture and for use with the Edge appliance, which we'll get to a little bit later. So the idea for the mid-range broadcasting, this would be ideal for those small to mid-sized TV stations that are moving away from manned cameras to unmanned cameras. Also for people doing OTT, reality TV shows, even a lot of radio shows use these types of cameras to simulcast over the internet, a radio program. In education, as I mentioned, used for lecture capture, remote or distance learning by streaming an event or streaming the class or even streaming a live event. In government, as I mentioned, with the big zoom setting, these are 2 of the models are 20x optical zoom. These can be put into large, like I said, council chambers or state senate or state congress, etc. And then finally for medical, we have a wide horizontal field of view on all of the models, and that would make it ideal for telemedicine. These are used on like medical carts, also for recording surgeries for training purposes. And then, house of worship and even event halls, these cameras are ideal where you can record a ceremony or an event and also stream it live out to any number of locations. As I say, these are very good for OTT applications, doing live streaming over the internet. So some of the key features, as I mentioned, the Exmor R CMOS sensor provides outstanding image quality. With the IP connection with NDI HX, you've got very flexible IP-based production, and then the ease of integration and installation due to the possibility of just using a single Cat5 cable. So as I mentioned, the BRC X400 is 4K. The SRG X400 and SRG X120 are 4K ready. So customers who aren't quite ready to jump into the 4K workflow, they can buy one of those two models and then purchase a license when they are ready, and they can go right into 4K from there. The big advantage of the Exmor R is that it's back illuminated, so more light is captured by the photodiodes as opposed to previous Exmor technology. This gives you much better image quality with less noise. Clear image zoom. So clear image zoom is not digital zoom the way you would think of it. We're not interpolating pixels from the center of the image out. Clear image zoom is really a technique where we've super scaled to get the 4K or the HD image, and then we bring that data that hadn't been delivered before, or at least visible before, out, which extends the 20x optical zoom all the way to 30x if you're in a 4K mode and 40x if you're in an HD format. With the BRC X400, you also have what's called 2x teleconvert, and that's where we take the 1080p cutout out of the center of the imager, effectively doubling your 40 times clear image zoom all the way to 80 times. Yeah, this camera, all three models start at 70 degrees, so we actually can pick up more information or video information, even compared to our 65-degree wide SRG 360C. And then obviously high resolution. These are megapixel, multi-megapixel imagers that we then scale to the 4K or HD video. All three models are what we call NDI HX ready. That is, the customer who wants to use the camera in an NDI workflow would go to NewTek's website, purchase the license, download it, install it, and now the camera is NDI. The big advantage is the ability to reduce the cable count. You can supply PoE plus power. You have NDI camera control as well as the video coming back, so you're down to one cable, so ease of installation. If they're not using NDI, they certainly have the ability to do real-time streaming with RTSP, and then there's a firmware upgrade plan for January, which will introduce RTMP streaming as well. The BRC X400 does have Genlock and a tally lamp. All of them have the ability to be set up from a menu, and then with this new scene file capability, we can copy and install settings to multiple cameras with only having the one set up the first time. I've already mentioned the tally lamp. The BRC X400 supports multiple camera control protocols. If you're not familiar with S700P or S700 protocol, that's a serial protocol used between our RCP and MSUs to control various system cameras. The BRC X1000 and BRC H800 have the ability to take the S700 protocol directly without having to go through a CNA1 to translate. The BRC X400 will be able to take those S700 protocol commands over IP just like the X1000. And scene file. So if you're using an MSU or an RCP, you create a scene file, copy it to the memory stick, move it to another RCP, and then you can load it into the second camera, or from an MSU or the even over IP, you can do it to multiple cameras, saving a lot of time. Big feature on the new camera is we have a very high-speed pan movement. We've upped it from a maximum of 100 degrees a second to 300 degrees per second. So the result is you can move the camera and get ready for the next shot very quickly. The other thing we have is called Picture Freeze Preset. What this does is, as you can see, if it's off, as we move the camera to the next preset, you're seeing the video move with it. With Picture Freeze turned on, while we move the camera, we freeze the video output. So that way you don't pick up that movement. Then PTZ motion sync, instead of doing a two-step pan, tilt, then zoom, these cameras will do all three motors simultaneously. It's a bit of an eye chart, but it's in the deck, just showing just some of the specs for the BRC X400. And then again, for the SRG X400 and SRG X120. As I said previously, the BRC X400 comes with 4K enabled. These two SRG models are 4K upgradable. And then just shows you here where the BRC kind of fits with the other BRC models, as well as the SRG 360 SHE, and a similar chart showing where the BRC X400 compares to our SRG 300X series. 300 series, as well as the SRG 120 series. It's a brief movie showing a comparison with a competitive camera. So the camera, obviously the one on top is the competitive camera, and what we're showing here is the additional information you can see because we have a wider horizontal field of view. And now we'll begin zooming in. And you can see how much further in how much closer in we can get with the 40 times. So Edge Analytics, this is the REA C1000. We first showed this at NAB. It was released in April of this past April, I should say. The Edge Analytics is really intended to get your audience's attention and then increase their engagement. It is a box capable of 5 different applications, which really is the strength of the box, is that it's scalable. The customer only buys what they need. If they decide to change to a different application, they would just purchase that license, install it, and now they have that capability as well. These are the 5 licenses we're going to go into a little bit deeper. The big news is version 2.0 was released last Friday, and that adds in chroma keyless CG overlay as well as focus area cropping or dynamic focus area cropping. And right now we extended our promotion through the end of the fiscal year, which is March 31st. Anyone purchasing the REA C1000 appliance will also get the auto tracking software license for free. This shows you just a very simple overview. You need a single camera, an REA C1000 with a single license, and then you have an HDMI connected to either your display or some recording device. You do need a laptop to connect into the web UI of the Edge Analytics appliance to set up the application's parameters and then to start the application running. So the big strength of this is that it's AI-based software running on a very high-end graphics processing unit, and basically the science behind it is that we can do a lot of edge detection and motion detection and things like that. And so that helps with a lot of the applications. For example, in the auto tracking, we use face detection just to start the tracking algorithms. There's actually 4 things we're tracking on: shape and size, color and pattern recognition, and also motion detection. That makes this one of the most accurate auto tracking algorithms that I've seen out on the market. And again, the promotion running through the end of March 2020, customers buying the appliance will also get the auto tracking license for free. With the release of 2.0, we've added the additional 3 new cameras, the BRC X and SRG X400s, the SRG X120. We also added in support now for the SRG 360 Xi. This is the requirement of this auto tracking program, is that it has to be a Sony PTZ because of the VISCA over IP, and it has to have an HDMI output, which all of these cameras listed has. And then for auto tracking, again, you could even put a camera controller in there and take over control. And then when you release control, the Edge Analytics appliance will go back to a detection zone, pick up the first face it finds in that detection zone, and starts tracking automatically again. You'll see in a minute when I talk about the chroma keyless, they're able to go and mix different video types into the video output stream. Basically, we have a deep relationship with the PTZ cameras. That makes sense, right? But we only need a Sony PTZ for auto tracking. For all of the other applications, you could use any fixed camera with an HDMI output. Obviously, we prefer Sony because you want the best picture quality possible. Some of the benefits, one is this very low latency. You're going with raw data right from the camera through the appliance to be processed, and that raw data then gets sent out to either your recorder or display device versus if you're doing any of the processing in the cloud, you've got latency introduced by encoding. You're also degrading the image, and then on the other side, you have to decode, and there's latency to that end as well. I'm going to go further than this. So this is the box itself, the REAC 1000. These are each of the optional licenses. I didn't mention this before, but each of these is a one-time lifetime license. Once the customer has the license, there's no recurring costs to them. Handwriting extraction. If you have not seen this at one of the shows, or if not seen us come in and do a demo, this is really black magic to a lot of people. When the presenter is writing on the board and is obstructing the view of what's being written, the people who are viewing can't see. As the presenter moves around, the Edge Analytics appliance grabs that handwriting, creates a digital overlay, and by making the presenter transparent or semi-transparent, it appears like the text and figures and whatnot, whatever's on that whiteboard or blackboard, is now out in front of the speaker. Chroma keyless. This has just been released. It eliminates the need for the green screen. What we're able to do is cut the subject out of a background. We teach the AI system about the background, and then using motion and edge detection, we're able to cut out the speaker, and with a second, with a PC connected, we're then able to enter in whatever graphic or background, and that could be graphics, it could be live video, any sort of thing you want, and that's what ends up being presented as on the output. Close-up by gesture. This is where we take a 1080p cutout. We detect the motion of somebody standing up, for instance, and then we do a 1080p cutout and zoom in on them. When they sit down, we detect that motion, and we turn around and go back out to that wide view. And then focus area cropping. So we've had the fixed area cropping where the user can define a 1080p cutout of, say, a 4K image, but it's a fixed area. It would be like if the presenter's never leaving, say, the podium. With version 2, we've added in dynamic focus area cropping, where you define that area of interest, we do our face detection, and then we actually do an EPTZ as that subject moves about within that, whatever the range of that 4K image that it started out with. So to give you an idea of how Edge can save your customers money, to do a lightboard studio, you're looking at a cost, street price cost of about $12,000, and it requires that dedicated studio. With Edge, you just need the appliance and the handwriting extraction license, so a total savings of about $6,000, or about 50% off of what the cost of building out that dedicated studio would be. And then the chroma keyless, same thing, a full-blown dedicated green screen studio, approximately $30,000. With the Edge appliance and the chroma keyless license, you're about you're only about a third of the total cost. And finally, if you're going to build both dedicated studios, you can see what the savings potential is for your customers. And then the applications these can go into, certainly, you know, education with the handwriting extraction, corporate presentations, you know, the green screen. We're not, the chroma keyless, we're not really targeting high-end broadcasters. What we're really looking at would be, you know, schools that have schools of communication where they're doing content creation, also like small mid-market TV stations, and then certainly in entertainment. So that wraps it up. Thank you very much. Here's our contact information. I'm the Andrew.Buttress, and Terry is the Therese.Huber. So far, we've had no questions, but we'll stay open for another few minutes. If you have any questions, please enter them in the comments box. All right, so a question has come in. What is the single cable solution? Well, the single cable solution would be if you are doing NDI or you're going to do IP streaming of an event. What happens is if you connect the camera via Cat5 cable, to a PoE plus switch. You're then powering the camera, and you can either have your control through one of Sony's PTZ controllers over IP, or if you're using, say, a NewTek TriCaster, you would have PTZ control that way. And then the video, if you're, again, using the TriCaster, it's NDI encoded video coming back across that Cat5 cable, or it's if you're just going to IP stream. So the one cable would be doing your power control and video. Another question that has come in is about ceiling mount. All three of those new cameras are ceiling mountable. I don't know if I mentioned, but all three models come in either black or white for whatever's best for the application. They also all have day-night mode operation, which is really kind of neat for reality TV shows or telemedicine. There's a copy of this presentation going to be made available. Yeah, it'll be put up on Dealer Source shortly. Another question has come in: do they have motion shake reduction? I believe so, but I would need to verify that. If you want to drop me an email with that question, I will confirm. Yeah, the questions come in about compatibility with our controllers. Yes, we've had a firmware upgrade to the RMIP 10 as well as the RMIP 500 for being able to get to control all of the features of these new models. And then the ceiling mount plate actually ships with the unit along with the IR remote and the power supply. We do have domes that are compatible as well as wall mount brackets for these new models. They're basically the same size as the SRG 360 SHE. All right, we don't have any other questions coming in. Just a quick reminder of the pre-sale promotion of the new cameras. And for information, look for that on our website. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.